Good morning. Welcome into the channel. I hope you're doing well today. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're gonna do our weekly check-in, just look at the energy that has brought us here, also what's gonna carry us through the rest of the weekend, via the tarot, astrology, any channeled messages that come through. And I'll also incorporate Ayurvedic or holistic wellness practices that we can really align with to not only strengthen, support our being, but really optimize our potential. So with that, let's get into it. I hope you're doing well this morning. It is a little bit early. We're in Cancer season. I'm just going to pull up one of my charts. We're in Cancer season. And we've had a lot of planets go into retrograde. Well, Neptune's gone into retrograde. Since we last talked, Mercury and Pluto are also in retrograde. And retrogrades really help us slow down. They help us take review, inventory of what's going on in our life, specific areas that the planets highlight. Neptune is all about our spiritual connection. It's the way we not only work with that connection within self, like how we evolve, how we grow, how we become better versions of ourselves, but it also connects with our intuition and what we pick up on those subtler levels. I think this is really important right now because the change that's happening with Pluto moving into Aquarius, which happened a few years back, but this is the first time it's retrograded and not gone back into Capricorn. So anytime a planet changes signs, especially those outer planets, because they take a long time to transit, it is a little bit more of an adjustment. And I feel like the going back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius was that value of us getting acclimated with the changes that are possible. Capricorn is all about hard work and doing the work for the sake of the work. Where Aquarian energy, it's like it's also like setting the foundation for Aquarian energy, because Aquarian energy is a little bit more unique. It's off the beaten path. It doesn't necessarily ascribe to societal norms. It has a little like rebellious undertone to it, not in a bad way, but it's also very unique. It's very inventive. It's very creative. And so I feel like Pluto in Capricorn really made us hammer out those places that we needed to have a stronger foundation for self. And then now we can better align with things that might feel a little bit more heart honoring, but in the way that it's not the usual. It's not what we're maybe expected, how we're expected to like act, behave, choices to make, etc. And you can see this all across the collective, just in the way that the old narrative of things are being broken down and things are being challenged, and there's just a lot of collective change happening all across the board. But really the change, even though, sometimes when we look at the world, it can feel a little sad or bleak or whatever. At the same time, the change, like this disruption, is helping manifest that change. And as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's happening on this grand scale, but it's also happening within us, within our own lives. And what I like about Neptune being into retrograde is it does really help us, like I said, connect with our intuition on a different level and really explore things that we might miss because either we're just like, doing our own thing in life, not really paying attention to certain things that definitely will pop up, and specifically around the changes that we need to make. Saturn's also going to go into retrograde at the end of the month, and Saturn is that friendly reminder of the hard work. It rules Capricorn, so it's that same value of like, okay, this is a great time to get really clear on what those changes are, because when Saturn retrograde happens, it's going to highlight even more, and we have to kind of be prepared for the work that needs to be done. But that's also why I like to start the readings off with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places we might feel blocked or limited. It's a really good time to set your own intention as well. especially if you have come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It really is a great way to personalize these collective readings. You can also totally skip ahead if it's not your vibe. Never any worries on my end, and you will still receive the blessing. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you're interested in more of that realignment of self, your mind, your body, your soul. I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. Because when we are aligned and grounded in self, that's really where we can maximize our potential. It's where we tap into our happiness, our fulfillment. We're manifesting our abundance that much easier. And I would totally love to help support you in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. I am currently working on my website. So hopefully that will be up and running at some point this summer. But until then, you can totally shoot me an email. All right, let's get into it. This is taking a minute this morning. It's okay. So am I. All right. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. Uh-oh, I think I'm Mama Love. All right, hold on. Let me just turn the internet off on this. Oops. Excuse me. I hope it's not glitching too much. I apologize for that. I keep forgetting to turn off my Wi-Fi because it's not, I'm like in the worst spot. I'm like in the deadest spot in the location I'm in. So I apologize if it's a little janky. All right. So I am picking up this energy of like, it's not, feeling like foggy and cloudy and not really having a clear understanding around some things that are like happening in your life, in your world. I feel like this is definitely that Neptune in retrograde energy. It does bring up illusion. It does bring up fantasy. And that's where we have to be a little bit careful that we're not letting things that like aren't true, aren't realities, inform the decisions that we're making. And I know that can like be easier said than done. Like that's not always the most accessible choices to make because we do the best that we can with what we can, right? But this has that vibe of like maybe feeling a little overwhelmed or emotions are getting triggered. We're in Cancer season. So again, a lot of this stuff makes sense. And we're also going to be coming up on a full moon or a new moon in Cancer next week. So anytime we're in the waning phase of the moon cycle, it is about releasing. It is about letting go. It is about that reevaluation that I was talking about, similar energy to the retrogrades, where we do have the opportunity to slow down a little bit and reevaluate how something is serving us. And this is a little tricky right now because the sun is tensely aspected to Saturn. So like I was talking about, it's hard to make certain choices for change and actually stay committed to that. Yeah, so this has actually been coming up a lot for us, the tangle energy in the zodiac readings as well. Places that we get ourselves into too much of a tangle. And you might have a little bit of that going on this weekend, or it's highlighting some things around that. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not information that's coming to light that's to like point the finger and shame and whatever make you feel guilty. I don't get that vibe at all. Some of it might be a little bit humbling off the bat, where it's like, oh shoot, I thought that I had already dealt with that. And now I'm recognizing that I have to rework it, i.e. Sun tensely aspected to Saturn. I mean, that transit doesn't really want to do the work, of course. And with the moon tensely aspected to Pluto, it makes the changes just that much harder. So there might be some places that you're seeing some attachment pop up, or, there might need to be again, a little more reevaluation with this microscope, or things are popping up around you that are asking you to do a double take. And it's something that needs to be paid attention to. I think that Neptune in retrograde makes it easy to understand where those places of change, or where we've gotten ourselves into a little bit of a mess, have manifested. But it's also this reminder that it comes up so we can do something about it. And we want to make sure that we're not just sweeping it under the rug or kind of second guessing ourselves. I had some of that last night, where just as I was going to sleep, all this stuff was coming up and I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? But as I'm seeing this, I'm like, okay, this is stuff that I need to pay attention to, making sure that I'm acknowledging it and doing things accordingly, and not just letting that be fleeting, because it can end up biting us in the butt in the long run. And the map energy is reminding us that it's okay to explore new options as we sit and kind of refine and hone in on the more microscopic or nitty-gritty details in life. That's the information. That's the information that we're getting to expand and to grow beyond. But it's also highlighting where, as we're doing that, or as you're trying to be a little bit more successful, broaden your horizons, level up, so to speak, there's places where things can feel a little bit messy, but it looks like you're also repairing it. You're repairing it with the approach that you're taking. With that knot, the moth, shadow self, diving deep. Where are we at with that? Let me just see. We have, okay, nothing in Scorpio right now, but Pluto is tensely aspected to Saturn and to the moon, which we kind of talked about already. So again, it's maybe oversimplified, maybe a little redundant. I apologize, but it is this value of it's things that are coming up are making us look at that shadow self, or things that we've been through that have triggered stuff that needs to be unworked, unwoven. Is that a word? I don't know. Untangled. Deborah. Detangled. I think detangled is it's a thing, right? Because certain aspects of repair are not happening. Maybe you were holding out hope for certain things to kind of come around together again in certain areas. I'm also seeing that there is some realization happening that that's not going to happen. And I think this is coming through with that reevaluation that's being done. It's recognizing that certain expectations with dynamics were expected, or you expected for them to take a certain path, and they're just not. We have a lot of fire energy. Even though we're in Cancer season, we have a lot of fire energy. Obviously, Leo is the next sign. And we still have about, a week and a half before we get to Leo season. But there's a lot of planetary placements in fire signs. So that is where the ego's taking a little bit of a hit, and specifically as it relates to where our expectations used to be. 10 of Pentacles pops out. You could be dealing with home family issues. If it's not specifically that, then this is just kind of how you're building your life, that foundation that you are setting for self. And anytime we come into these places, Ayurveda really talks about the way that we can support our mental, emotional, our psychological functioning is through having awareness around what relationships are, and then committing to the discipline that it takes to unlearn these patterns, these ways of showing up, places that like you might have given yourself away a little bit too much. Venus is tensely aspected with Uranus right now. And so Venus, again, it can fall under that illusion. It can fall under the illusion of what we want a situation, a relationship to be, and it's not really giving us the results that we want. Also, Pluto's tensely aspected to Chiron. Everyone pronounces it, well, I like Chiron. I think it sounds a little bit nicer, but some people pronounce it Chiron. That might be the correct way is what I'm getting at. And the fortune point. So Chiron's all about the wound healer. It is about overcoming. It does have those spiritual undertones. And then the fortune point gets us to where we want to be. But when we don't make the changes, when we kind of refuse, and I don't think it's like a refusal, I think this is just unmet expectations. I think this is places where maybe there hasn't been a lot of awareness on what the deficits are and a hope or a belief that it's going to repair in some way, and it just hasn't. Okay, so 9 of Cups in your environment. I like that energy. This might, oh yeah, of course, with the Page of Wands that just popped out. I'm going to put this back in. But it definitely looks like you're getting good results when you do step out of your wheelhouse this weekend. We've been getting this energy a little bit as well. So making sure that you're not staying too hermited in self, especially because we're in a season where things can be a little more sensitive. Yeah, the Devil. So this is, again, triggering. It's places that things are popping up for you, and we'll clarify exactly what this is. But essentially, I read the Devil as the chains that bind us. In the traditional tarot, it shows 2 individuals with chains around their neck, but they can easily get out of those chains. And that's often what the Devil is, right? It's things that maybe tempt us or just take us down a path that's not life-honoring, that's not life-giving. And interestingly, okay, so 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups in the blocked energy. Ooh, okay. I feel like I'm seeing this Devil for you as something that's really kind of like nagging at you. Something in the background. Something that's... I'm not sure if this is your energy. I feel like this is more learned energy. This is more things that have kind of been imposed on you from the outside world. Lots of cups over here. Something's making you feel really uneasy. I feel like you haven't closed out a cycle, or maybe you're holding on to some stuff of the past a little bit too much in the way that it's informing your future. Because like we have a really nice energy around you. We'll clarify a little bit more what this is. This is very bizarre. This is very bizarre because in your environment, things look really good. And if anything, it's like, it's people, relationships, dynamics that want to interact with you, that want success. This might be something feeling left out because the happiness 10 of Cups is in their blocked energy. But at the same time, with you showing up as the Devil in the world and your blocked energy, it feels like something can't come to a close. It feels like repeated cycles. And I don't think this is cycles that you are creating specifically. I feel like this is cycles that are lingering around you. The places that it has been really hard to untangle yourself from certain webs that have been woven. And we'll look a little bit deep. And maybe you already know what this is. Maybe it's not. That's why it's not really coming up in the tarot, because you already have a grip on it. It's obviously in a space where you can look at things a little bit closer. I feel like Spirit is giving you the opportunity to see something for what it is. And I'm hoping this is like something that's waiting for you around the corner, like something that's going to be available to you soon. But let's look a little bit deeper. I'm going to clarify this Devil first for us. Okay, 5 of Pentacles, feeling left out. Okay, the Hermit. There's our Hermit. Not surprised. Again, I think this might just be when, like, sometimes we're alone too long. Like, we spend too much time alone and it's not good. You know how, like, sometimes you just get too much. I don't know why I can't speak. Mercury retrograde. It's places where you get in your head too much. And I feel like it's idealizing or romanticizing the past or romanticizing what could have been. And maybe that's this space where, like, you wish that things could be worked out, having certain expectations with relationships that it would actually go in a different direction or that there would actually be some type of repair. But at the same time, staying in that cycle is only hurting you, you know? It feels like that is what is preventing you on some level from exploring those other options or things that, like I said, because in your environment, this is all such a nice energy. It's like, it's basically like people or opportunities waiting with open arms to embrace you, you know, and all you have to do is step out and not continually rely on the things that are a little bit messy. Yes, it's not saying that you don't have to pay attention to whatever this is for you. Obviously, if we don't look at that stuff, then it just continues to fester. But this is more about it's making sure that you're intentional about where you're putting your time and energy. And yes, if something is life-giving, if it's honoring, if it's supporting you, then it can definitely be looked at, you know? But I think at the same time, there's been some things that have, some mental tapes that have gotten stuck that are making you afraid, or it's taking you back into a space that, like I said, it feels like it's over and done with. What else should we clarify? Let's clarify what this is over here. Give me a little bit more understanding on who and what this is for the collective. I like the energy. It looks nice. Okay. We have the Ace of Wands, new inspiration. It really does look like someone's waiting to come in. You know, or if this is not a specific person, the Emperor, Aries energy. Ooh. How crazy would that be? Let's see. Oh, is that the King of Swords? Okay. Give me one more. This is, I wonder, is this a new beginning? The Chariot, I knew it. Okay, is this new beginnings? Is this new beginnings? Nope. Nope. With that 5 of Swords, sorry, I will call out the cards. I keep forgetting to do that. 4 of Wands, 5 of Swords, 4 of Wands. And gosh, lots of people, and the Queen of Pentacles. I'm not surprised. You might have had like someone set up boundaries in the past, and now it looks like it's changing a little bit. Like I do feel like something's coming back around, and maybe because they're in a better position now. Maybe they feel a little bit more solid, confident within self, like they have their life in order. Because it does look like someone or something is feeling inspired. They're feeling inspired by you, by reconnection. It does look like reconnection. I don't think this is necessarily a new energy. Maybe you get a new energy down here with this King of Pentacles, the Lovers. Or perhaps you're just going to be partnering up with someone, like whatever this situation over here is opening up the door for a partnership, a relationship to manifest. And I'm not saying specifically with whatever this old energy is, because it feels a little like it feels like someone, especially if this is someone re-entering, which makes a lot of sense. Anytime we have retrograde seasons, people, old things pop up, right? And this does look like there's new inspiration, positive inspiration. It can be a positive thing. But I'm also seeing like someone does really want to be controlled or in control with how they do something. There's that 9 of Cups again. Interesting. It looks like they're leaning on the support of whomever this King of Swords is. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. They're trusting, relying someone for direction and information. Maybe even like how to get back to you is what I'm hearing. And this doesn't have to be just love. You know, I don't really love to promote, you know, you'll know your situation best, but never put yourself in a dynamic where it's like that runner chaser vibe. It's never ends well. It's painful, you know, or if it's a toxic dynamic. And I think maybe that's what you're hesitant about with this Devil. I don't think the toxicity is coming from you. It doesn't really look like that. It looks like whatever broke down over here is feeling a little scary as you're re-entering, as you're re-entering life is what I was going to say, or as you are broadening your horizons. Maybe it's that point of you had a rough go with past people, past situations, and it's kind of hard to say or to trust in the movement forward. Hey, yeah, it's a collective reading. Good morning. It is, we're checking in with the weekly energy, just seeing what's going to come up for us through the rest of the weekend as well. Thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. Sending love and blessings your way always. So yeah, it definitely has this vibe of like being afraid of what is going to result, how things are going to result moving forward. And especially if you do let people or dynamics back in. I think this is something that they want, right? Because like I said, there is this level of discontent, like someone's not happy with how things have gone. And I feel like there is a legitimacy to whomever, whatever this is to you, like wanting to feel more put together before they reapproach something. For some of you, I feel like there is explanation coming with it. Let's see what this, I'm going to clarify this 5 of Swords. Okay. 5 of Swords. We have, we got the 8 of Wands. Someone's resisting action, resisting communication. The Judgment. You might have even cut someone off, or you're just not communicating as much anymore. Yeah, because it's forcing this dynamic to see it through a different lens. And I feel like that's kind of where some of the tangle is working itself out. Because it looks like something removed their energy from you, and perhaps you followed suit accordingly. Or it was like, you know, this isn't really good for me, right? For some reason, whatever it's triggering, whatever it's provoking in you, you did pull back your energy as a response. And I think that's a little bit of a wake-up call for someone, or whatever this is over here. There was some type of expectation that there would be more communication. And I feel like this is you coming to them. This also might be going back to that runner chaser vibe. If you're used to pursuing relationships, if you're used to pursuing dynamics. But again, this is not talking about backtracking. If anything, it's saying to use the past energy to inform you how you do take steps forward. So that you're not getting yourself back into these positions that feel unfair. Like, it does look like you might have gotten the short end of the stick, or maybe that's just how you feel in this dynamic, because there's a lot of people over here. You could have even just had like a group of people kind of pushing back or excluding you or whatever. And the manner as to which they did it, it feels indirect. It feels like it wasn't a direct conversation of like, I don't like you anymore. It was more this thing of nonverbal. You had to kind of read between the lines in order to understand what was going on. I feel like this is also part of that triggering for you. It's really hard when people reject or ghost or there's no explanation around things. And even though it looks like something's popping up, and you might get that actually, especially with this knot energy, this speaks to some amount of repair that is coming your way. Let's clarify it though. We also are ending with the Lovers, but it's the King of Pentacles. And that's where it's like, I don't even know that you're reconnecting with one of the original players. It doesn't feel like that. Like maybe you get certain information from them, but it just helps you kind of move along and not be so stuck in this situation. Because again, there are some expectations from both ends, and it feels like it hasn't completely closed out. Let's look. 10 of Cups, confirmation on that 10 of Cups. What really makes you happy? What makes you feel fulfilled? Page of Swords. You do want communication. You do want conversation. You do want to understand what happened. But this is also about like being open to how that might look. Because I think that the results that you want, it does look like you can get there. It is contingent on this dynamic over here also being open and receptive. But it does look that way. I don't know. Maybe there's some confusion is what I'm seeing. Confusion of how to interpret your response to whatever's happened. Which is kind of weird because it's like, it feels like I'm just going to say they because it's a group, right? They made a decision and you were just responding off of that. And then they're confused as to why you're doing that. It just feels a little bit counterintuitive. 5 of Cups. And now they're like disappointed. That's so wild. It's so wild how people are. I understand it's not always easy to say what we think or what we feel. And yeah, there are a lot of things that can trigger us, right? And this feels like, being afraid of the dark in the way that Neptune in retrograde, when we let things kind of overwhelm our mind, our body, our soul, and it takes us down the path of thinking worst case scenario. In that type of situation, Ayurveda really talks about doing some type of yoga, meditation, some type of breathing exercises. I love breathing exercises because they're the simplest way to realign the physiology. It helps harmonize the left and right hemisphere of our brain and therefore of our body. And it completely settles our central nervous system, which is so powerful when it comes to things that trigger us. So whether you just want to do some deep breathing, whether you want to do some form of pranayama, whether you want to walk outside barefoot in the grass, resetting yourself in nature, starting a meditative practice, reading something inspirational, kind of whatever helps you reset is what I'm getting at. Because I feel like this is a really interesting dynamic that looks like it's bringing up a lot. It's triggering a lot, and you really don't know where you stand on things. Yes, I think conversation, communication would really help bring more understanding into this dynamic. It looks like maybe not everyone's on board with that, but it does look like someone might reach out. And this is where that partnership is coming into play for you. But it feels like this is not the most immediate solution that's happening. And it also looks like, it's the first step of something. So this doesn't feel, like I said, it doesn't really look like this is going to be happening this weekend. I feel like there are a few more things that have to evolve. And maybe it's just this group of people understanding. Like, I feel like there's a lot of chatter, a lot of communication about you, a lot of interest in what you're doing, why you're doing it, trying to kind of figure it out, right? Like everybody's chit-chatting and like, well, what's collective up to? And, a lot of interest. And it does look like you're staying in the background. Like, I don't think you're necessarily participating or hearing about this conversation, but it does look like something is going to reveal whatever these conversations are about. Like, you are going to get some information. I'm just going to close this off because we keep getting a lot of partners in the tarot. The Queen of Swords popped up. We have the King of Swords and the Nine of Wands. Okay, so it does. I feel like this again is there's one partnership here that feels more harmonious for you. And it might not be the whole of the group, like I was saying. Like maybe you can't repair certain things, but maybe one of the parties isn't really a part of whatever is happening. And that's kind of where this messiness comes into play. Because it does look like eventually, maybe not this weekend, but eventually in the near future, you will have some type of conversation that's going to help bring out the clarity of why something happened or how it got so messy. Like this also feels like a situation that got messier than what it should have or was supposed to. Maybe not supposed to, but just sometimes when there are a lot of people, when there are a lot of dynamics involved, things can get very messy. And especially, like I said, there's this energy over here of someone wanting to control the narrative, wanting to control what is being talked about, what's being said. And I don't know if it's true, honest. 5 of Cups is someone who's operating out of their emotions. It's a little bit of a woe is me type energy, victim mentality. Like this, collective should have done this or they should have understood or whatever. But how can you understand when there's no conversation? That's something, right? We can try to give people as much of the benefit of the doubt as possible, And I mean, I like to, and I can, we can still understand what someone's going through. But if they're not going to communicate about it or whatever, it still leaves a lot open-ended. And I feel like that's kind of where some of the stuff is, it's not sorted out. And I don't know if this situation's ever going to get sorted out. It feels more like someone brings you information that brings a lot of clarity around why a situation took a turn in the way that it did. It does feel like that relationship is offering some type of olive branch or a chance to repair. And I feel like that's the bottom line, like where you maybe on this side of things, you're not interested because it feels like, well, what are they trying to do to me? This is a little bit of like feeling like people are lying to you, pulling the wool over your eyes. They're saying one thing, but they're really meaning something else, that type of thing. This is also, like I said, it might be connected to the situation, but it also feels like it's a deeper pattern underneath of past stuff that has made you afraid, or maybe you listened to someone for too long, or maybe it was a parent, a family member that impose some type of belief system onto you that makes you look at people, relationships through that lens of fear. And those aren't easy things. They're not easy things to acknowledge. They're not easy things to unlearn, i.e. why it can feel a little bit messy. But I keep getting really like this feeling of just like hope. It's a promise. It's someone's coming in to help calm that part. And it does, like you're moving from the Devil to the King of Pentacles. So whatever is triggering you right now, present day, you're going to find peace, grounding, stability at the end of all of this. And yes, I do think that is effort within self first, meaning being honest with yourself, having those honest conversations about what people and relationships are, or how a dynamic played out, just being really honest, trying not to look at it through the lens of what's being triggered within you. but paying attention to the trigger, making sure that you're not just, again, sweeping it under the rug, because it's just going to come back and bite us in the butt. And the outer planets, some of these outer planets are going to be in retrograde throughout the rest of the year or until the later months, like October, December, that type of thing. So, the more we resist, the messier it's going to get, right? And I think that's just the nature of things, i.e. these natural cycles. So recognizing that things definitely do have natural order. You know, there is an ebb and a flow to life. And we see this all across the board in nature. If we remember that, it helps the down times in our own personal life not feel so bad. And again, I think a lot of this is just coming up because of what this situation triggered for you. It might not even be the worst situation ever. Maybe you're offended, maybe things happen that really hurt you, but it doesn't look like it completely leveled you. And like I said, there is stuff coming in that's going to help make this feel not so bad. New perspective. I love that. The cards never lie. Confirmation. You are getting that new perspective. I feel like you're even having it a little bit after this reading, like in the way that it's like helping you feel not so bad, not so triggered. Maybe on one end of things, it's kind of hard to get out of those mental tapes, i.e. that Neptune in retrograde. Elevate your mind. I love it. As I'm saying it, don't let your mind get the best of you. And like I said, the best thing we can do in regards to our mental, emotional, spiritual health is have those things that recalibrate us, that bring us back to the baseline. And I'm a huge proponent of self-care. I think that the only way we can be like happy, healthy, functional people is through self-care. If we don't do it, then, you know, things get messy. Or if we don't have awareness, things get messy. And it looks like this is something that you are growing out of. It's a cycle that you're ending. It's a cycle that feels like it's been around for a long period of time or a huge chunk of your life where you're ready to release and let go. And I think some of this stuff that's happening in the background, again, is helping you do that. You might not be 100% aware of it, but as it pops up, it's helping you to kind of work through it again or work through those places that might have been left untouched. And it looks like there's good results. It might feel a little bit icky right now, or like maybe in the beginning of the week, like I said, you could be dreaming a lot, having some nightmares. It could be coming up, like I was talking about for me, right before you're falling asleep. Or it can just be your intuition playing tricks on you. And that's really where we don't want to get sucked into whatever those changes are. Meaning not just taking something at face value, even if it is a gut instinct within self. Yes, I think it's important to listen to our gut, but we also want to vet it because sometimes it can be responding out of fear, out of anxiety, out of, you know, shitty people from the past that aren't necessarily that way present day. So interesting energy, a little bit heavy. It's been that way in the readings this week. So it's not, excuse me, let me take a sip of water. It's not anything too out of left field, but it can be a little emotionally disorienting, kind of like dealing with all this stuff. Like I said, it feels like it has a really good output with this Queen of Wands, Earth energy, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. It can just be someone that's coming to bring in a little bit more grounding and stability. And it feels like it makes all of this mess like really settle. Like maybe it is the thing that helps you untangle some of these past patterns or past belief systems about yourself. So I hope this helps. Sorry if it was a little bit heavy today, but I do hope that it helps you this weekend moving forward whenever you find this reading. Thank you so much for your time, energy always, especially if you've made it this far in the reading. I super appreciate you. Know that it really helps support the channel, and I totally appreciate that. Definitely drop comments below. I would love to connect. I would love to hear how it resonates, or just share in a little love, little TLC. Thank you so much for all the love and support that you bring my way. Know that I'm always sending it back to you. I hope you have a fabulous Thursday. I'll have uploads tomorrow, and then I'll be live again on Saturday. So stay tuned. See you